Hello and welcome to Dave's Delightful Dishes. And as always, I'm Dave and I'm delighted to have you here in my kitchen today. And today we're going to talk about a side dish Saturday topic. I was down at a Mason event in Maryland, and one of my friends named Rich suggested to me that he would like to challenge me to show Lodge green beans, also known as Masonic green beans. And yeah, I can do that real quick here. Hold on. So you take a can of beans, some garlic, and some butter. Voila. But, you know, this is the same way you see it everywhere and all the time. And you know what? That gets kind of boring. So how about we do something a little bit different? Let's check it out. Now, for all you non-Masons out there, just so you understand, green beans are so ubiquitous in lodge dinners that they joke that the G you see inside our square and compass symbol stands for green bean. And so we've had them 100 different. We pretty much have had them always the same way 100,000 times. And what I'm going to do today is we're going to do something that's different, but still lets you have that green bean for the lodge. And it scales really well, but I'm going to do a normal size portion here. But it's going to make it different, and it'll get even the grumpiest past master saying, "Man, I wish we had them in my year." So let's get into it. First thing you need, well, first let me tell you what it is. It's actually a Lebanese dish. It's called luba, and it is a braised green bean stew, which is a wonderful vegetarian side dish. So for starters, you need a couple ingredients. We need 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. We need an onion, thinly sliced. And I've been getting a lot of commentary that we'd like to see my knife work, which, please don't judge me, is not wonderful. So make sure you don't get your fingers caught. So I kind of put my knuckles back a little bit. And I'm making very, very thin slices of this yellow onion. And that is 1 medium-sized yellow onion, medium to large, and that is sliced very, very thin. We need 12 cloves of garlic, 6 of which will be minced. The other 6 will be whole cloves. But what you can do to make the flavor spread a little bit more is I'm going to just give them a little smash. So those will all be smashed. We have a tablespoon and a half of paprika. We have a teaspoon and a half of paprika and a quarter teaspoon of cayenne. I think a tablespoon and a half of paprika would probably overwhelm the general flavor. And then we have a pound and a half of green beans. And again, if you're making it for a group, this does just scale up. But this is 1 bag, a pound and a half bag that I got at my grocery store. You'll see them in 1 pound bags, 2 pound bags, however you can get it. And these were, when you get a can of green beans, they're usually either Frenched or split down, so they're smaller pieces. This, we want to keep them longer, but there's a couple things we still got to do. If you've got ones with the stem still on them, you just take your kitchen shears, take the stems off. Here's another stem. And if you get a really, really big one like this, I just nip it in half. So that way we have still large green beans, but we don't have monstrous green beans. Although I do have a couple monsters in here, just because I wanted to see what it's like to have the full green bean. This is still kind of experimental. And that's one of the cool things about cooking, is it is almost always somewhat experimental. You never know what's going to come out. And then we have a 16-ounce can of diced tomatoes with its juice. And then we do salt and pepper to taste. I'm probably going to use about a pinch of salt, but maybe 2. And then a couple of grinds of pepper. You can always add more. So what can I say, Rich? Challenge accepted. Let's get over to the cooktop, because we're going to cook this in a Dutch oven, and let's get going. All right, so I've got my Dutch oven heating on high heat right now to get it up to temperature, and I have the 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. You can use canola oil too. I just wouldn't use olive oil here. And just give that a second to warm up. And get myself a wooden spoon. And I'm going to take my thinly sliced onion and pop that in. First time that's ever happened. Be careful, don't let yourself get splattered by the oil. And I'm also putting in the 6 cloves of minced garlic. And now I'm going to put this down to like medium heat because I don't want it to burn. And we're going to let this sweat for about 4 to 5 minutes until the onions become translucent and the garlic gives off a great aroma. If it starts to blacken, we turn the heat down. So that was actually only about 3 minutes here because they're sliced so thin that they went translucent really quickly. And the smell is just like what you'd expect, and the garlic is starting to change color, so it's time to do some stuff. We're going to add in our paprika, our cayenne, and a pinch of salt, and give this a stir. And I'm just going to let this become aromatic just for a minute, maybe even less. As soon as I start smelling it, I'm putting this down to low heat right now. I'm going to grab my green beans and try to make sure they get in the container. And remember, when these are stiff, it looks like a lot, but they're not going to stay that way as they start to soften up. There we go. And now we got to put our cloves of smashed garlic in. Kind of spread them around because this isn't hot yet. And in goes my can of tomatoes with the juice. These vegetables are going to give up some liquid, so you don't really have to worry too much. If you're doing this and it ends up being like it's way too dry or for some reason, you could always add a little bit of chicken stock. That'd be fine too. And I'm now going to grind some pepper on top of this. Perfect. And now I'm going to go ahead and bring this heat up to medium-high. And I'm going to let this just cook up until it starts simmering, which shouldn't take too long. You can already start hearing it hiss a little bit. But I'm going to give it another minute or two before we clamp the lid on, bring it down to low, and we're going to let it simmer for 40 minutes. Now, depending on how big your scale is, you might need to let it go longer. You might let it go less. But with this size, I'm thinking 35 to 40 minutes should be plenty. And you see I'm already getting steam. I'm hearing bubbling, so we're going down to low. The lid goes on. And then every 5 minutes or so, I'm going to probably pull the lid, give it a little stir, and just work my way through that through a 40-minute cook cycle. And then we'll show you how it looks when it's done. This is super easy. Okay, 40 minutes have elapsed. And let's have a real good look inside here. Poof. Now what I did is every 10 minutes, I took the lid off and I gave it a stir. But see how everything is broken down, and those full cloves of garlic have just disintegrated. Now, I've been tasting it as I go, and I've now put pretty close to a teaspoon of salt in. But I want you guys to taste it and make it to taste, because everybody's idea of what a good amount of salt is different. But this is now looking good and ready to go get on a plate. So let's head over to the workstation, and we will finish up here. Okay, so now that we have this here, and I can take my bare hands off, if you're doing this for your family for an individual, meal, you could always just plate this the way I plate most things, as I plate individually for each person, or you could serve it family style. And if you're doing this for a group, obviously it's going to be a family style. And while we were filming, this happened to arrive in the mail. So what I'm going to use today is I'm going to use my vintage Grand Lodge of Maryland vintage china platter. So this is what we're going to use to plate this up. And I think it's going to look lovely. All right. So what I want to do to finish this up is just going to give it a little crack of pepper over the top. And then this is now ready for service. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a hit. So if you're tired of that same old boring green beans, give this a try. And Rich, I hope that this satisfied the challenge. I look forward to talking to you later and see if you try this yourself. For everybody else, if you haven't already, hit like and subscribe. I'd love to have you as a member of my channel. And you can hit the bell for updates. You can also check out my Facebook page, which will have the link below in the description, as well as my Instagram. And I have things going on that. It's a great chat function because I look for you to give me these challenges so that I can keep bringing out good food for you. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope that you guys let me know how everything went. And if you got any questions about Freemasonry, that's no problem. Go ahead and ask one of your friends. Someone you know out where you live is a Mason. All you got to do is ask one. Have a wonderful day. I will see you soon.